Hey everybody. So the last business video you guys loved, and I'll talk about business all day. I just thought that y'all were here for projects. So as you can see, I'm not good with props. I have a $100 bill here to signify that this video is about making money in leatherwork. That being said, I have compiled an entire list of things that in my 15 years I learned were mistakes that I made and how to fix them. And this isn't gonna be a video about using the wrong type of sandpaper. This isn't gonna be really a video about a lot of leather related stuff at all, but it is gonna be a video about business as pertaining to living a healthy lifestyle while starting a business that takes physical labor. So if you're interested in that, stick around, we got a bunch to cover. So the first mistake, these signify very loosely a day job of any sort. Do not quit your day job prematurely. Now, I get asked this question a lot and it's hard for me to answer because I started Corter at 19. So really in my adult life, this leathersmithing job is the only job I've had, but I was working at a retail store when I started making wallets and selling them online. And what I learned from that, and this one I actually kind of did the right way. If you quit your day job, if you have a day job with dependable income, what that allows you to do in Leathercraft is to be creative. You get to find your creative voice because you're not dependent on selling pieces to pay your bills. So the later you can become dependent on your craft to pay your bills, the more opportunity you have to design a unique product line. Because what happens is, if you quit your job and you're like, I'm just gonna become a leathersmith and you just go for it, kudos to you, but you're gonna be kind of, and I've watched this time and time over, you're at the mercy of the market. You end up being stuck making what sells, not exploring what you could be designing that is unique to the space that might sell even better because you just don't have the time. You have to be banging out the standards that you know will sell immediately because you have bills to pay. If you have your job and do this as a side project, you will have to work with it, you know, in your spare time or maybe as you're thinking at your desk at work or whatever, but it really gives you the opportunity to explore aesthetics, explore styles, explore all of the various different facets of this craft in a very free way where your grocery bill isn't dependent on it. Do not quit your job early. When people say, when do you know when I should go full time? My response is when you're losing money going to work. That's when I quit. Even if it was a retail job when I was 19, but the day after I went in and I said, I'm going here to make, this was 2007, so I was maybe $9.50 an hour. When I could be sitting at home and making a wallet that I'm gonna make $30 an hour, I was losing money going to work. When you get to that point, and if you have a family, you also have to be much more careful about this. I was a teenager. Then it's smart to go out on your own because then it's just the smart financial decision. But you better make sure that you have a plan, not necessarily a formal business plan, but you have a plan as to, I have a good product, I have a different product, the market seems to be, you've tested your market, you know that products sell, you have a backup plan for when sales of your initial launch drop off. Are you gonna advertise? Are you gonna release more product? Are you gonna do influencer stuff like videos and that kind of thing? You have to have all your ducks lined up in a row in that respect before I would suggest that it's safe to quit a steady job. Next mistake, don't over-invest in your business before you have customers. Now, all the shell is for an order we're doing, right? To this day, we don't keep a lot of materials on hand because when you own your own business, if you spread your eggs out into multiple baskets, if you have, for us, we have our YouTube channel, our patterns, our products that we sell, our white label products, you can use this craft to do so many different things. But time and time again, I see people that say, hey, I just took out a $20,000 loan and I'm gonna start a leather company. And I say, oh, cool. It's cool that you needed to expand like that. And they say, well, no, I'm starting it. So I took out a loan to get all the tools. Leathercraft is one of those very rare instances where you do not need to invest a lot of money to start making money. A simple set of stitching chisels, a mallet, and a few household items with some leather will get you started. Now, what I do suggest is the way that I expanded, totally debt-free. I took one loan out ever in my life, and it was when we got an order, what was it, 15,000 bottle hooks for Birchbox that one time? And it was like, I just didn't have like $60,000 to pay the caster. And it was just a quick 1 month loan. It was paid off. That was just a cash flow issue for a small business that never had to do volume like that before. But the way that I expanded and the mistake that I see in over-investing is use your initial years to grow organically and debt-free if you can. What does that mean? Say you get an order for 20 keychains. It's probably best you just make the 20 keychains. But if you see this as a product that you sell at craft fairs, if you sell on your website, then maybe you take that 20-piece order, you take all that profit, and you spend $200 on a clicker die. Now what that's gonna do is allow you to go from cutting this shape out, taking 15 minutes, to cutting this shape in 2 seconds. And so basically, the first 40 pieces you make of this, if at, let's say, $50 an hour, the first 40 pieces you click out, which would take about 10 minutes, is going to pay for the die in labor. And then you're good to go. This die is 10 years old. It has at least 20,000 impressions on it. It's never been sharpened. It's from Texas Dies. They make great dies. But that's how I invested in that's how I built my company. I used no debt. If I had a job that came in, if I had someone ordered 50 bifold wallets, I would use the invoice for that to buy the dies to make the wallets. And then I had those dies for the rest of my career. We still have them, we still use them. So don't jump into it thinking that you need a ton of money to invest into starting a leather business. The other reason that that's a good thing is because you let the market determine whether or not you are trying to do something viable. These days, there's a lot of people trying to sell bifold wallets, card sleeves, etc. And if you have a unique perspective, you can do that fairly well. But if you haven't taken the time, if you've quit your job prematurely and you're almost a slave to the market, and you have to sell what people are buying, and you're kind of lowering your prices to make sure things sell, you don't have the opportunity to design the unique pieces that could give yourself an aesthetic advantage. This works really well with tooling. You see these days, especially with the resurgence of tooling, you see a lot of people tooling spaceships and desert scenes and stuff that's not traditional to tooling. Now their pieces might just be bifolds, but the aesthetic is the thing that sets them apart. And anything you can do to aesthetically set yourself apart or to functionally set yourself apart. I use this example a lot. Say you get in Leathercraft and you say, I want to make archery components, right? That's a niche that there probably isn't a lot of competition for. I mean, I don't know what you use, and I know you use arm guards and stuff. I don't know if they're leather anymore. But when you have a steady income from another job, it allows you to explore different niches and find something that can be your, for lack of a better term, your cash cow. It will be the thing that you can make simple, efficient products that will then fund, as we talked about in the last video, your passion projects and maybe the bigger custom pieces that you want to do that don't pay as much hourly. But with the money you're making with your stock products on your niche products, serving an underserved niche, it gives you the time to make the stuff that you want to make. Mistake number 3, and my resolution to this mistake is holding the camera right now, is it's refusing to delegate. You can get very emotionally wrapped up in your business. And I did that for years. I worked 7 years alone in a bedroom, making every single piece by hand stitching, thinking no one could do what I could do. And it was only when I was having serious issues with my mental health, with my relationship, that I said, I have no choice but to either lose this business or hire someone. And in one meeting, I taught Kaylina how to do what she needed to do, and she was sewing faster than me. So understand, and I have a panic disorder, right? And one of the big things with panic disorders is you have a panic attack and you feel like you're dying. And then you talk to someone else that has a panic disorder and they go, yeah, you feel like dying. And when you understand that you're not unique, it's actually very settling. It's very comforting. And it's kind of the same way in Leathercraft and in a lot of handcrafts, because you do feel special. You feel like you have a talent, and you do. I'm not saying you're not talented, but there are plenty of other like-minded people that could be doing some of the work for you. They could be taking some of your workload off. So for example, let's say we wanted to make 100 of these right? And at this point, it's not really a fair comparison because Keelina has been doing this for 10 years too, so she can sample and make bespoke stuff and whatever, but not to minimize. She doesn't, I don't need to, she started off just doing production work because she didn't know how to do the other stuff. She now has learned, so now we're very much equals. But you can generally, if you have followed the first two steps and you've upgraded your materials, you maybe bought some cutting dies, it's gonna hit a point where it's not worth your time to sit at a clicker press and click out 100 pieces of something in an hour, because that time could be spent doing a custom project. So if you make your process as efficient as possible, you are able to hire out and expand and scale a lot easier and a lot cheaper. You don't have to worry about payroll as much when those people are coming in and producing $1,000 worth of product for you by clicking 100 of these out in an hour. And I titled this on my list, Swallowing Your Pride, because for me it really was. For me, for 7 years, I had Japanese distribution, I had European distribution, I was everywhere and I was making every single piece by myself. And I had a very big sense of pride in that. This is my business. But the problem is, leading into the next mistake that a lot of people make, if you design your business before you design your ideal life, and you don't set goals and boundaries and steps and what you want to hit, then there is no stopping point. If you work 16-hour days to get your Leathercraft business off the ground by making wallets 16 hours a day, when you hit the top or the peak or whatever, it's still going to be based around you working 16 hours a day. That's never going to stop. So make sure you start your business by, and this is counterintuitive to the whole hustle culture thing, I believe that the mistake that I made was working 15 to 16 hours a day, 7 days a week for like 7 years. I took one weekend vacation up to New Hampshire. That was the mistake that I made. If I were to have gone into my business and said, I want to accomplish what I want to accomplish in this business, working 8, maybe 10 hours a day. There's nothing wrong with working longer hours, but then spending my weekends with my friends or doing other hobbies. I think I would have developed personally a more healthy relationship with work, because work-life balance can be hard. Just as running a non-profitable business is not sustainable, running a business where you have no personal time is also not sustainable. And I know that from personal experience. It may take 5 years, it may take 7 years, it may take 10 years, but eventually you're going to burn out in a way that you just cannot return from. So, what comes with the whole swallowing of the pride and making your business more efficient thing is more tools that will help you. We're going to go to the cutting dies because this is a big one that I feel like people think that there's too big of a barrier to entry, and you do have to invest, right? But when we go back, we talk about when you're getting started, you have your day job, you're slowly taking bigger projects. You take those bigger projects, you take all that profit, you put it into machinery, tooling, and equipment that will allow you to make the next project at a profit, or will make it quicker or better quality. So we're going to use this is not the same keychain, but we're going to use this keychain as an example. We're going to go over to our Belko Guy press, which I believe is like $1,200, which realistically, an order of 100 of these should make you $1,200 profit. These are just strips, right? So say you take that $1,200 and you buy this press. Now, our Weaver press we've had for 12 years. We've abused the heck out of it, the smaller one. And it has made us, what would you say, 50, 60,000 pieces total. And some of those pieces have 9 or 10 pieces, and we've clicked them all out on that press. Yeah. So you can't really talk about, you have to write off devaluation or whatever the tax term is, because at that point it's like, how do you even put your fractions of a penny on the cost per thing, right? So I'm going to go over to the press, like you've seen me do a million times, and really show you how by making your process more efficient, it allows you to hire in other people, which is also good because you're allowing other people to learn and have a creative job without going through the traditional unpaid internship thing. I'm not a big fan of unpaid apprenticeships. If someone's going to make work you profit off of, it's my belief that you should pay them for it, even if they're new to it. But let's go over to the press, and I'll kind of give you a real world example. You've seen me do it before, but to make this a complete all-in-one video, I'll show you what the difference is. So imagine hand cutting. How long would hand how long it would take you to hand cut this piece, right? A lot of complex curves, a lot of little stuff. You would probably simplify it to look something like this if you were doing it by hand, just a couple of strips. There's nothing wrong with this. But opening yourself up to maybe using a little bit of machinery will allow you to up your design aesthetic and also make everything more, what's the word? Uniform. You're making a better product that comes out the same every single time. Even if you my mom can make these, and my mom's 71 years old, and she's never done Leathercraft in her life, because we've designed the process that allows us to scale in a way that if we need another person, we can hire one of our friends, we can hire someone that's never done leatherwork before, and they can be making these at a saleable quality in 2 hours. So you swallow your pride a little bit, you start taking promotional jobs, you start doing coasters, you start doing stuff that you can make pretty simply, strap goods, and you're able to get enough invoices to buy a piece of machinery like this. I always suggest this one because it's like $1,200, $1,300, and it is just, you don't need anything more than this to get started. This is a fairly thick leather and it is a light duty press, so you may have to step up in the future to a bigger press, but to get started, this press is great. The other thing is, even when you stop using it for dies, it's the perfect stamp for press for stamps. It's awesome. But once you have your die made, now I believe this die was, let's say it's about $150, right? So now all of a sudden, we go from taking 10 or 15 minutes per unit to 10 seconds per unit, and that's cut out. And this was a mistake that I made because I thought, and I guess if you want to stick to your morals and say if it's not hand cut then it's not handmade, that's totally fine. I'm not going to argue that point. I see where you're coming from. However, I don't think that a die that we designed and a press like this that makes a better uniform quality every single time, it makes a better product, and all I care about is a better product. If we can get the best product that we make. So definitely step up, but don't think to start a leather company you have to take out a loan to buy all this equipment, because I didn't own anything like this for the first 4 years of my business. I did everything by hand and it was possible. So that is one of the big mistakes that I see a lot of people make. And when you do take out a loan, again, it puts you in financial stress. So then you're very quick to want to make money, and you're focusing more on the money, the business part of the business, than you are the craft. And the craft ultimately is what is going to set your business apart and let you find success in that business. So I have one more written down, and that'll be our final one. And I have one that I'm just going to throw in here. This is just some advice, really, right? When you have small goods, or actually any goods really, you have to kind of pick your battles between detail and overall vibe. So we made a video on this. These are great. This is actually my daily. This is what I carry every day. For those interested, this is the first brass bottle hook ever made in California. It's 10 years old now, looking great. And I carry this thing we made in a video just because I like carrying my keys like this. But if we look at these two lanyards themselves, they have a similar vibe. The only difference is that this is basically a rolled handle and it's stitched. Now, if you were to take this piece and put it in a craft fair, and you had people walking by, and this one would have to be $50 because it takes about an hour and a half to make. This one could be 10. It's a strip of leather, you can use scrap even, one rivet, and that's it. And your price on this is probably $2. So at $10, you're making $8 profit. You could bang out 100 of these in an hour. You have to make the decision on a lot of your products. I'm not telling you to throw the soul out of your work. What I am saying is that some pieces are cash cows and some pieces are labors of love in this specific craft. This bag, for example, is $900 in materials alone and 40 hours of work. Now, to sell something like this, I would have to sell for $8,000 to make my $50 an hour with the materials, etc., and the proper markups and stuff. This is all one of the first two splattered shells that Ricardo ever made. It's fully lined. It's all French vachetta. It's gorgeous, right? And I still own it because I can't stop staring at it and I'm not ready to sell it yet. But if I didn't make pieces like this, for us it's the bottle hook, For us, it's a lot of our wallets that we die cut and charge very under $100. We keep all of our stuff very affordable in our stock pieces. Those pieces allow us to be creatively fulfilled by creating these pieces. Now, when I go to sell this, maybe I sell it for $2,000 or $3,000, right? It's $1,000 in materials and 40 hours work. I'd work at McDonald's and make more money. But I'm passionate about this. This fulfills me. And so the market for $3,000 Oriental rug-looking shell cordovan bags is very small. However, the market for simple $10 leather lanyards that are going to last 30 years is pretty big. So look at your product lineup. And I'm not saying like take a bifold and be like, I'm going to make a folded bifold and take all the stitching out of it to dumb it down. Don't do that because it'll affect the quality. But in little things like this, look at like, how can I achieve the same aesthetic without maybe taking out a little bit of the detail? You can still make these. If someone says, I want the stitched one and it's $50 and they say, sure, then make one. But if you're going to show up at a craft fair, you're going to sell 10 times as many of these as these. And I would much rather sell 100 of these at $10 a piece than 10 of these at $50 a piece. See what I'm saying? So that was just a little side note, but that brings us into our last, and in my opinion, most important mistake that a lot of people make in leathercraft that can really affect both your psyche and your business when you get deep into it. The last piece of advice, and a piece of advice that's often overlooked, is you can do it on paper, you can do it literally, you can do it however you want. Set definitive goals for yourself. And I'm not talking about I want to be able to own a house, those are good goals. But when you're starting a leathercraft business, set small, achievable goals. The reason being, if you don't set goals, you never know when you reach a milestone, and then you just keep going for infinity. You're never happy. So I did that early on. I want to be successful. What is success? I didn't define my success. So by the time you get to, hey, I can pay my electric bill every month. Hey, I can also pay my cable bill. Oh, maybe, I'm paying a little bit of my rent. That stuff passes you by because you don't have it in writing. You don't have it in your head that that's actually a milestone, So for us, for example, one of our goals was to release some tools. And now, I'm going to be honest with you, it's a licensing deal. We did design them. It's a licensing deal. If we made these ourselves, we would make 10 times as much money profit. I don't care about that. All we wanted to do was make an affordable set of super high quality stitching chisels that anybody could afford in between the $25 ones and the $200 ones. And you guys have seen this on video, follow us on Instagram. We're almost ready to release these. These are our signature stitching chisels that we designed. Buckle Guy made them happen. But this was one of our goals, to provide modern tools for the modern leather crafter at an affordable price that were professional quality tools. I've used this set for 6 months, almost every day. I've made dozens of bags with it. They are, in my opinion, just the perfect balance of utility, quality, and price, right? Sales pitch over, but this was a goal. I had this written down. I want to put out signature tools, not because I want my name on a tool, but because I want to create tools that don't exist yet. I want to fill a void, and I want them to be the best possible. I want to do it because I think I can do it the best. And maybe I haven't. I'm sure there are other stitching chisels. These are going to be around $100, $110. Maybe there are other stitching chisel sets that are better. I have not tried all the stitching chisel sets in the world. But it was a goal. The next goal, this is a sneak peek. Well, if you follow us on Instagram, it's not. It's our 15-year anniversary. We set a goal, and you'll notice none of this stuff is monetary because I don't believe in when you're starting, it's really cool to pay an electric bill. It's really cool to go out and pay for a meal with money you made selling a wallet, right? But it hits a point where we are very fortunate enough that this has been our business for 15 years. And so our business is in place that we have a shop and all that stuff is covered. When you hit that point, it's important to not just set monetary goals, but creative goals. So what you're looking at for our 15-year anniversary, which just passed in September, I believe it was the 27th, this is going to be coming out Black Friday. We wanted to be the first leather company to collaborate with a shell cordovan company. So this is a Ricardo shell. It's called Summer Camp. It's tie-dye. Me and Kaylina were both YMCA camp counselors for many years at separate camps. We didn't know each other back then. But the cool thing about this, not only I think, is the beautiful dye job. It took like 9 iterations. They were just great getting it perfect for us. It's that this is, to our knowledge, the first collaborative shell stamp. It has our logo, summer camp special edition for Corter leather on it. We worked with Ricardo to do this. They made the backs gorgeous. And I show you this to show you that we have these coming Black Friday, but to show you that you have to set goals, because when these came in, we felt so fulfilled. We took the afternoon, we took them all out, we looked at them. It wasn't just a throw them in the corner, we're gonna keep working. If you don't take time to appreciate what you're able to do in this craft, if you're making any sort of money off of it, if you're able to support yourself in any way, it doesn't even have to be your full-time job, for any craft for that matter, if you don't take the time to just appreciate what you're able to do, both with your skill, both with the lessons you've learned, then life is going to fly by. And I say this as someone who was the kid in the industry at 19, working with streetwear brands at 25, and now I'm a 35-year-old living on an island that's given up most of it because it just was not fulfilling. If you're not able to step away from that and only look at what makes you fulfilled, reach for those goals and achieve them, that's where the full fulfillment, that's when you end up long time down the road going, you know, I might not have made the most money and I might not have become rich and famous, but damn was I fulfilled. And it's projects like this, not in a sense of what the actual projects are, but the goals that we set for it. These took 3 years to have made. The goals that we set for ourselves, that's where the fulfillment in this entire craft comes from. It could be making your first bifold. It could be designing a keychain that you can make in 1 minute instead of 40 minutes. It could be that freedom of developing a stock line. Set it as a goal though. Don't just think it in your head, one day I'd like to do that. Write it down. Have it as a bullet point in your career path that you're taking, because your career is not going to go in a straight line. It's going to zigzag up and down and plateau, left and right. It's going to go all over the place. That is what the mistake that I have made, and I see a lot of people make, and how I have chose to fix it in my own career. And that's going to be it. I'm trying not to preach a sermon. These are just some really more in-depth personal mistakes, emotional mistakes, less, don't buy the wrong stitching chisels, don't do this on leather. These are the mistakes in business that I've made and how I've corrected them and how I see other people. They seem to be the most common things. And I wanted to make a video out of this because I know a lot of you want to be leather workers as a job, and to be presented with this information from the start, I never was. It'll help you avoid a lot of the pitfalls and help you have a much more enjoyable rise up as you build your business. So that's going to be it. Shameless plug. We got 125 square feet of this made, and we're making it into affordable wallets, card wallets. We're going to start on this tomorrow. We're going to make a video about it that comes out Black Friday. The pieces will drop Black Friday, and we are not making any profit on them. They're going to be like 45 bucks for a card sleeve, 55 bucks for a card wallet, and we are making a limited amount of bifolds that will be, I believe, $165. So we just want everyone to be able to have a piece of it, because it's just a cool, we wouldn't be able to do any of this without you. So we want to do something cool, and we thought for our 15-year anniversary, I made duct tape wallets in summer camp. That's how I started my whole wallet journey when I was 14. Kaylina was the arts and crafts teacher. Tie-dye shell. So thank you guys so much for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.